evening, everyone, and welcome to Roosevelt House. As you can see, we have a full house tonight, which is exciting. My name is Jessica Neuwirth, and I'm the director of the Human Rights Program here at Hunter College. And we've been privileged for the last few weeks to host Meaza Ashenafi as a Human Rights Fellow in Residence at Roosevelt House. Meaza's been here meeting with students, faculty, and others in the human rights community of New York. And we are delighted, as part of her visit, to have the screening of Difret tonight, an Academy Award-nominated film that's won many other awards as well, highlighting one of the many groundbreaking cases she worked on as director of the Ethiopian Women Lawyers Association, a group that she founded. I should warn you that the film addresses the issue of abduction and rape of young girls in Ethiopia. And while the film shows the strength and character of its protagonists, including Meaza, it depicts scenes of violence, and I wanted to just make you aware of that. I will do a more detailed introduction of Meaza after the screening of the film, which was made by Zarasene Berhane Mahari, with Angelina Jolie as an executive producer. Great thanks to Brianna Krumenacher, our Human Rights Program Associate, for organizing this event, and to Dan Culkin, our production coordinator. Please turn off your phones and anything else that can make noise, and now let's watch the film. Thank you. Hard to follow that film. But now that you've seen Meaza Ashenafi in this docudrama, you will get to see her in person. Meaza is truly a testament to the power of one person to make a difference in the world. And the film talks only about her role in founding and directing the Ethiopian Women Lawyers Association. But since then, Meaza has had an illustrious career. She worked for many years at the United Nations Economic Commission of Africa. She was the founder of the first women's bank in Ethiopia, which has been tremendously successful and now has more than 180 branches across the country. And most recently, Meaza served as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Ethiopia. That's fitting. It's truly an honor to have her with us tonight. Please welcome Meaza Ashenafi to the stage. Meaza, welcome, and thank you for being here. This film is a fantastic tribute to you and your work, and I'm going to ask you a few questions that might be of general interest, and then we'll take Q&A from the audience if that's all right. So first, maybe give us a little more context about the practice of abduction and rape of young girls in Ethiopia as a form of forced marriage. Not much is said about that in the film. Some comments here and there about abduction as if it's a normal thing. But does this tradition of abduction have to do with dowry or other aspects of marriage customs in Ethiopia? And also, it's mentioned here and there again, but maybe you could explain the criminal law exemption for men who married the girls they abducted and raped.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jessica, for hosting me. The last 3 weeks, I had a fantastic time here in New York, and specifically at the Roosevelt House. And thank you also for our audience for showing up to see this movie. So every time I see this movie, it brings back a lot of memories and emotions, and you know, it's very difficult to digest the whole thing, but I don't know if I would be able to do what I have done 34 years ago now. I'm much older, and so things are different. But I'm so glad that we have done what we have done, and you know, two things strike me about this movie. The first one is how society really insists on, you know, dominating women, and at every level you see that. But then you see very progressive judges, and they take a very good decision which sort of departs from the view of the general public. But also the resistance by a 14-year-old girl shows, you know, that human spirit, the desire to live in dignity. She took a risk because, as we have seen in the movie, when a woman kills her husband, or a man, the culture in the community is to be immediately killed and buried with a man. That's not an acceptable reaction, but she was lucky because the local militia arrived and rescued her. So there are very powerful messages. So regarding your question, Jessica, abduction is not practiced in every part of the country. It is practiced in a certain part of the country. And as you have seen in the movie, young men, they want to do that because sometimes there is a resistance from the family of the girl, or sometimes the girl she's not interested, like the case of Abarash. She wanted to go to school and she doesn't want marriage, but they sort of impose marriage on young women. But it was kind of accepted because they have done it for generations in that particular area. And it is like a norm. And Abarash's older sister, she was abducted. It's okay. I spoke to her husband once. He said, so what's wrong with that? He said, I abducted my wife and we have 4 children and, we have a life. So life goes on. So that's why it became a turning point when Abarash decided to take that step. So following this case, it became, as you saw, it just captured the attention of the nation, the entire trial. And following that, our organization also got huge attention. And we became very influential. So the advocacy work that we have done for legal reform has been successful. So in the criminal code, the provision which says if and when abduction, the abductor marries the girl, then he will not be liable criminally. So that provision was removed from the law book. And also, especially in this particular community, abduction has also decreased tremendously, and that was the impact of this case.
That's great. And you mentioned Abarash, that's Hirut. That's the name that's used in the film for her. And I'm sure we're all wondering what happened to her. Did she end up going back to school? It says that she was working against abduction. Did she go back to her village? Are you still in touch with her? How's she doing now?
Yeah. So, Abarash, she, her life started in a very challenging way, as we saw. And she did not go to school. I mean, like, she did not go to university education. She did not get university education or anything like that. She went to one of the Middle Eastern countries, and she was working there. And that was not a very good life. So she came back to Ethiopia. Now she's married, and she's working on a project that focuses on abduction of girls, and she's okay. So in terms of going back to her community, it is still a challenge. She goes to her community sometimes, like for holidays and so on, but she always feels insecure to go back there. Despite the fact that her parents gave like a very substantive amount of compensation, like in terms of moral compensation, still the family of the deceased, understandably, they are not happy. So she's not at ease to go back to her community. So she lives in another small town, and she's okay, she's working. Yeah.
And the film, I'm wondering if it was shown widely around the country. How did people receive it? How did the government receive that film?
In Ethiopia, the film was not shown widely because of various reasons. but it was on Amazon and Netflix. I mean, for those who have access to digital technology. But in some other countries, the film has been used for a lot of educational purposes. But I think in the future, the producers should disseminate widely the movie. Yeah.
Well, that's my next question. It was made 10 years ago, so you mentioned there's been some change. How much overall has changed for women and girls and for the legal system in Ethiopia? Obviously, you went from suing the Minister of Justice to becoming the Chief Justice, so that's a big change. But I know you stepped down recently. Is the legal system better equipped now to address gender-based violence? Is it working better? Has the situation changed? Is abduction still practiced, even if less?
Yeah, in terms of legislative and policy change, there is a progress, quite a significant progress. When the Ethiopian Women Lawyers Association was very active during the first 8 years, we managed to influence the legislators to amend at least 4 major laws, the family law, the criminal law, pension law, nationality law, all the laws that have discriminatory features. The Women Lawyers Association have still continued its work, and it is still supporting women, victims of injustice. In general, yes, there is a progress in terms of girls' education, access to employment, and also the harmful traditional practices, including abduction, female genital mutilation, or child marriage, and so on. But having said that, still it is unfinished business. We have a lot to do, and this same campaign, whether it's at the policy level or at the level of education, should continue, because yes, there is progress, but there are still huge challenges.
I don't know. We want to take some questions from you. This is Ahuna. Do you know if Ahuna's here? No. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm Michael Myers, president of the New York Civil Rights Coalition. My question is, what was the real reason the Justice Minister left? Was he fired? Did he resign? And how did the law change? I know the American system, the courts can change the law. You don't have to wait for the legislature to change the law. So did the legislature change the law, or the courts change the law? How was the actual law amended so that injustice could not prevail anymore in the country?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. Yeah, the Minister of Justice, he was removed from his position, but we never knew why the government finally made that decision. But our suspicion is there was a lot of campaign, a lot of pressure on the government. Once they suspended our organization, we started an international campaign, as well as campaign at the national level. So we presume that it's the removal of the Minister of Justice was the result of that pressure, I guess. Regarding your second question, the legislative reform happens at the level of the parliament. The parliament has changed laws in our system. The laws are changed, or new laws are enacted by the parliament. Judicial decisions, yes, especially at the highest level, they serve as a precedence, but in most cases, laws have to be amended specifically to be enforced and interpreted by the judiciary. Well, they made the decision, but if, for example, their decision is reversed by the Supreme Court, then it will not be binding. But in this particular case, their decision was not reversed. and then also the legislator made sure that the laws are amended.
Recently, there was a movie that was nominated for an Oscar called To Kill a Tiger, and it sort of, in a way, related to this, where three boys raped a 13-year-old girl, and the debate by the village was that she should marry the one who did it, who initiated it, and that this happened a lot in the villages there. Has your story and this story, especially because it's a film, gotten out internationally and had repercussions or ramifications internationally with other countries that also behave in similar manner?
Which country was it?
Well, in this case, To Kill a Tiger is in India. But there's this occurs in Eastern Europe and a lot of other places.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if this case has impacted, but unfortunately, violence against women happens all over the world, and people, normally women, they sort of accept it because of the social pressure, because of socialization, and going through the justice system is also not easy. But sometimes, if they get support, or if they are strong enough, they sort of challenge this kind of practices. So probably that is where the similarity lies. Yeah.
Yes. How do you suggest we finally change this? Here in America, women are still imprisoned for defending themselves. The men are not, but the women still are. How should we get together and finally end this?
That's a good question. This is why we need like the South-North interaction and the exchange of experience. So, yeah, I think, movements are very important. I think from my experience, civil society movement is very important. Civil society movement is very important. Organizing, campaigning is very important. And I think you have a wide-ranging experience in this regard. And I would not be the one giving advice exactly, but I think social movement, especially the role of young people, is very critical, because young people these days probably they don't associate with this kind of real life experience, because their experience is far removed from what happens on the ground. So I think this intergenerational dialogue is very important, and in the sort of there should be continuity to keep the social justice movement alive.
And I think I would just add to that, what's also great about this film is the way in which it takes law into popular culture, because I think in the US and in the United Kingdom, I know there have been many cases, what is self-defense, a lot of cases, like you mentioned, where women kill their abusers, end up serving long, long jail terms. And over time, I think some judges have tried to reinterpret what does self-defense mean, but it's also a cultural thing, and especially when you have a jury system, that's a factor too. Yeah.
Hello, thank you so much for coming. My name's Sarah Wells. I'm a first-year student at Columbia University School of International Affairs, and my question to you is, as the first Chief Justice woman, what challenges did you face, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, my experience is very diverse, and Ruth is sitting next to you. She was my assistant. Yeah. So one of my challenges was that when I was appointed as the president of the court, the whole nation was very happy, because I have a track record and I have that, acceptance, and people know about my work and my integrity and so on. But it was a challenge because, for example, women automatically expected that everything will be all right because I am heading the judiciary at that point. But life doesn't work like that, because when I lead the judiciary, then I'm the Chief Justice for everyone, not only for women, but also for men. But it's very difficult to sort of, make people understand that. Having said that, also as a Chief Justice, I have done a lot in terms of, what we call gender mainstreaming in the judiciary. For example, we established strategies for sensitizing the judges. We established a special bench for women and children's cases. We convinced the Judicial Administration Commission for appointment of more women. And we established a program to mentor law students, female law students. And we have implemented a lot of gender responsive programs in addition to the overall modernization of the judiciary. So it was a very, huge assignment, but I believe we used the opportunity to modernize the judiciary and also to sensitize the judicial community about the challenges that women face. Yeah.
Hi, my name is James Larison. I'm a student here at Hunter College. I just wanted to know, especially with your experience, like what kept you going? I don't know if I want to be a lawyer. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But this type of work, it like moves me, and like I just been struggling with like pessimism, especially with things that's going on around this country specifically. But yeah, I just really want to know your experience, especially you coming from where you came from and getting to where you are. So, yeah.
I hope you will change your mind after you see this movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No, when I look at this, at the movie, a lot of things come to my mind. I sympathize for women, I sympathize for Abarash, and I sympathize for myself because I remember what I have gone through and, the endless problems, the endless challenges, but I still continue, because there is that drive for justice. And, somebody has to do it. And when you do the right thing, people help you also. So, people support you, community support you, and so on. So I think it is, you need to have the right vision, definitely. And then you need shared vision with your team. Then also there are some people who will drop in the meantime. So, but as long as you have your core group and your vision, I think you can always, push ahead. I was interacting with students here at Hunter College over the last 3 weeks. And we had very nice conversation with the students. So I present, what I have done at the United Nations, at the World Lawyers Association, establishing the bank, and so on. So they feel like they're overwhelmed, and I tell them, no, don't be overwhelmed, because I have done this over 35 years, and it's not like a very, direct experience. We have passed through a lot of challenge. So it is what I tell them should inspire them. But on the other hand, nothing comes easy, but it's worth it. It's worth doing it.
I don't think we could have a better advertisement for lawyers and social justice than Meaza. Just this one case, you see, she literally saved a life, and it's just one of so many cases, changing laws, saving lives. Yes.
Thank you, Michelle Winfield. I really stood up to thank you for being here, for being a light among us all. It's not an easy task. When we look, and we kept saying to each other, and this is a true story. So I thank you. I pay homage to you. And thank Roosevelt Institute.
In the back.
Could you talk a little bit about how you said you were appointed to the court. I'm just trying to compare. Maybe you could discuss how your court system, your Supreme Court system, is different than ours. Usually, a president nominates you. You got to be confirmed by the Senate, and once you're on that thing, you usually stay there till you die. So, how was that process over there? And are you just the only woman that was ever on that court? So, what's the spectrum in terms of that court?
Yeah. No, for us, there is a retirement age. There is a retirement age for judges. It's not a lifetime appointment. And yes, we have to go through the process. Like I was presented by the Prime Minister. The Parliament has to debate. The hearing is not as intensive as it is in United States, but the Parliament has to approve the appointment. But appointment is not for a lifetime. There is a term limit. And sometimes there are situations also where you are not forced, but when you resign, because of certain situations. In third world countries, the court is not very clearly independent, and there is sometimes, situations happen. So, yeah, I mean, there is a retirement age, and there is a possibility also that presidents resign before their retirement age.
Can you recall? I mean, can the Prime Minister change his mind and say, "Nah, I don't like that person. I'm gonna."
Not directly. Not directly.
The follow-up question is, what about the women? Were you the only woman that was on the court?
There are women on the court, but I'm the first president in the history of the court. Yeah, but there are other women judges. Yeah.
I just want to say, Meaza, thank you. I was a missionary myself in Ethiopia in your days when you were young and I was young. And I just want to acknowledge the work that you women lawyers did on behalf of women and girls that were in our services as Good Shepherd Sisters, both in Addis and down the country in Sodo, so in that area. So I just pay tribute to everything that you have done. And the film is so, you mentioned about, being emotionally moved. But when I saw it, I was in another world back there with all of that intense suffering that women and girls go through. And so thank you for taking up the cause.
Yeah.
Thank
Also
you.
Okay.
Also, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Sometimes I feel lucky that my story is up there, but there are many, many other women who are serving the community, who are serving the society, and this acknowledgement should come on behalf of everybody. Thank you.
We're going to just take two more questions. I think one is there and one back there.
Hi, Meaza. Thank you so much. This has been, it was an amazing film. I just wanted to know more about, there was a little bit in the film about why you kind of, your background and growing up, but what was the impetus of you becoming a lawyer, getting involved specifically with this cause? The story she was saying in the movie about how men were approaching your parents and you wanted to go to school. It's very similar to the story of my mother, where she was the only one of her sisters to not get married young because her father wanted her to go to school, and that decision changed her life because she came to this country, she went to school, met my father. So it was just that really resonated with me, that story about how your parents protected you from that.
Yeah. I was born and raised in a rural area, and I came to Addis Ababa when I was 17 years old, to join the university. And that means before that, I never saw a television set or a running water, but I think I catched up very fast. So my daughter is here. I'm sure she wouldn't like to be spotted. So Okay, my daughters, I have two daughters, and they went to the lycée and so on. So when I was appointed as president of the Supreme Court, it was reported, it was on CNN, it was on BBC, and so on. Particularly because of my background also, it attracted media attention. So initially they didn't think it is like a big deal. So they said, "Mommy, is this like a big deal?" I said, "Yeah, it's a big deal." Then they asked me, "How did you do it?" I said, I don't know. You know, what I know is, you know, whenever I am assigned to something, I just try to give it my best. And I do it honestly. And I don't have any strategy, but when life comes to me, I just do it honestly. So that's my only answer. So I think that's my advice to everybody, especially young people. You never know who will be watching you. You just have to do the right thing, and you have to do your best.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. I was so inspired by seeing your story. You put to mind Thurgood Marshall. I couldn't help thinking about Thurgood Marshall when I was looking at that as well, because he fought for desegregation in the United States, and then he was elevated to the Supreme Court here in the United States. But just two other things. When you said there's a mandatory retirement age, and I was just thinking that indeed you seem very young. Can you tell us what keeps you busy today?
What makes you busy? Yeah, the last 1 year I'm having fun because because I get invited to conferences, and you know, I meet with the students and talk about my experience, and I like that. I like that because you know, sharing my story, sharing what I have done, sharing what is happening in the other part of the world is very important, because at the end of the day, we learn from books, we learn from professors, but real life experience is also very important, and I feel I'm doing still something important. The future, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, thank you for your work.
Well, we'll all be watching Meaza as she goes forward to even greater things. And Meaza and I will be watching all of you and hope to see you on a Supreme Court someday or somewhere else equally important. U.S., anywhere. We need you. And I think, you know, Meaza's story is an Ethiopian story, but it just touches all of us. We're all facing so many problems that probably have more in common than difference. And so it's great for us to be able to come together and be with her in person. And again, I just want to thank you for all of your amazing work and for being here with us at Roosevelt House. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, yeah. I think I also have to, at this point, acknowledge Jessica. We met with Jessica in 1998, about the time where this case was happening. And she was invited as a visiting scholar by the U.S. Embassy. And I think it was the first time for me to see somebody who graduated from Harvard. Jessica? So since then, about the same time, Jessica also and her colleagues also established Equality Now. And really we supported each other, and they amplified the voice of women on the ground. And we kept our relationship and, you know, collaboration, solidarity since then. And I really like to thank Jessica for this opportunity and her fantastic team here at the Human Rights Center. Thank you for hosting me, Jessica.
Our pleasure. Thank you all.